Alright guys, this is it okay. I know the media have been bigging this up as my final game in charge, and it is true, it's a bit of a big deal, okay? But the bigger deal is we can break Auckland City's record of holding the most Champions League trophies in history, okay? So let's beat Western Suburbs in this final, because honestly, they don't even deserve to be in the competition this year, but we love beating them. Let's do it one more time and become the best team in not just the world, but also Oceania history.
Party in the streets and the city's on fire.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 185 of the New Zealand Builder Nation here on Shaun Does FM with Cashmere Technical and the All Whites. And coming up today, it's our final game of the save with Cashmere Technical. We're playing the Champions League final, which as you can see on screen is against a very fitting opponent in Western Suburbs. Can we break the record and lift it for a 13th straight season to end our time here at Cashmere Tech? But if you missed yesterday's episode, which was our last international window before the World Cup with the All Whites, and also it included the all-important draw for the group stage of that World Cup, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. Make sure you come back though and watch the rest of this episode, because it's a big one. We've got Western Suburbs in this Champions League final to wrap up this save, at least in terms of the club side of things. Also, you might be spotting the finances there. Please go pick up the save if you're going to, off the back of the Club World Cup last season, because going professional has absolutely mudded all that good work that we did. And I've not even done too bad a job in terms of managing the wage budget. We've still got 70k a week spare and over £1 million in our transfer budget, which actually is more than we started off with. So something's going weird there in terms of the finances. If you want to pick up the save, it might be best to go back to the Club World Cup and do that. But we've obviously made the final. We had quite an easy path through on our side of the draw off the back of the group stages. A couple of days ago, we took on Nick Soccer Attack in the quarters, picked up a 10-0 win in the first league and 9-0 in the second league. In between then, had a Southern League game and beat Christchurch United, and that was off the back as well of a win over Auckland United 5-0 in the Charity Cup. As it turns out, that not too applicable as they've made the final. You'll see how shortly, but quarterfinals, pretty comfortable for us there. I say pretty comfortable, easy as Auckland United got through 7-3 on aggregate over AS Magenta, albeit did lose the second leg there, which was a bit surprising. Western Suburbs went through 6-2 over AS Aru, and the most competitive of the quarterfinals, that was won by Nadi. 4-2 in the second leg did mean that they went through 7-5 over AS Junes Tahitians. Those are the four teams that made their way through to the semis. It did set up us versus Nadi, Western Suburbs versus Auckland United. We went through again relatively comfortably. 6-0 in the first leg did mean we could rotate quite heavily in the second leg, where we picked up a 3-1 win. Did leave it a little bit late there. Goals off the bench to Francisco Goncalves, but 3-1. We go through 9-1 on aggregate. And the other side of the draw, both away teams actually won each leg in that one, but Auckland United conceded a goal in their home league. So Western Suburbs, they went through 3-2, which does set up the old traditional rivalry for pretty much the large majority of the save off the back of the first couple of years, where Auckland City were our biggest threats here at Cashmere Tech. Since then, it's for the most part been Western Suburbs, and it's the team who really shouldn't even be in the Champions League this season. I think our Club World Cup win has got them a spot here in the competition this season, because last year they were third in the Central League and 7th in the National League Championship and got nowhere near the Chatham Cup final. So still not too sure why these guys are in the Champions League, but as I said, it's actually quite a fitting ending to our time here at Cashmere Tech that we take them on and hopefully can give them a bit of a pumping. These days, Jared Smith's the manager. He hasn't been there for too long, because Ben Sapola, their former manager, we'll just go find him. He took a job over in the A-League late on last season and then got sacked pretty smartly by Western Sydney Wanderers. So he didn't last long there in the A-League, but that's what happened to him, the American. For some reason there, that Western Suburbs block of being a manager has just disappeared from his history, but Western Sydney Wanderers didn't last too long at all there. Their new manager, that is Jared Smith, and he plays a 4-2-3-1. So it's the exact same to what we do here at Cashmere Tech. The key player these days is a 19-year-old Uruguayan in Guillermo Diaz. He looks okay, and a couple of attributes on his mentals, bravery and work rate, and those physicals aren't too bad for this league, but really, if that's their key player, we should be okay here in this final, even though this season Western Suburbs is actually doing a lot better in the Central League. They come into this one on top of the table with 5 wins and just the 1 draw. So they come into this one in some pretty good form, albeit did lose the second leg of that Champions League semi-final to Auckland United, but they did grab a goal, which was oh so important. Otherwise, they might not be in this final. Instead, it would be the team from the Northern League. In terms of our squad going into this final, unfortunately, are dealing with a couple of injuries. Jamie Young got injured about a week or so ago when I put out a full-strength team just to keep them ticking over before this final. Unfortunately, that didn't pay off for Young. He's got injured with a sports hernia, out for 4 to 5 weeks. Hopefully, he'll be back in time for that FIFA World Cup. We'll be just a little bit touch and go with a squad announcement coming up the day off the back of this Champions League final, but he's definitely not available for this game. Finn Brown comes in central attacking midfield, and Sadio Diakate will be the backup, seeing as he scored 4 goals back in one of our group stage games. And also Alex Moore, who these days is our first choice striker off the back of that sale of Craig Johnston. Twisted ankle. He's been out for a couple of weeks, unfortunately. Hasn't recovered quite in time to feature in this Champions League final. So that's why Goncalves has been up front for us recently, and Andrew Thomas is the backup striker for us going in to this game. So a couple of injuries there to some regular first choice players, but hopefully it won't prove too costly against a team who really shouldn't be here. But as I said, quite fitting that we're going to play them in the last game of the save, and to try and break the record for the most Oceania Champions League titles held by one single team in the history of the competition. Hopefully we can pull it off. Will be a nice way here to end things at Cashmere Tech by picking up yet another one in the final over Western Suburbs. And here are the team sheets for our final game at Cashmere Tech, the 2042 Oceania Champions League final at my arena as well. There's our team. We've got Brown in central attacking midfielder, Goncalves up front, but apart from that, it's our first choice 11, Western Suburbs, going with something completely different to what was their manager's favourite formation on the screen that we saw before. So that's quite interesting, going quite defensive here against the Club World Cup champs, but hopefully can pick this up and make it 13 Champions League titles to break the record. And just past the 5-minute mark, first highlight of this game is a corner here in our favour, and we get the ball there. Rivas to Corona, already on a yellow card. Tried to put that one top right corner. Unfortunately, decent block on there from one of the Western Suburbs players. Corona then with a tackle already. It's a bit worrying on a yellow card, but now a corner only a few minutes later again. Zajic gets that one at the near post, but unfortunately that one goes just over the bar. But early stages, we're definitely the team here on the front foot, and again have a corner looking near post for Zajic. That time can't quite find him, but the ball goes back out there to Otto. Now Hosafa in there for Sam Clark, for some reason running backwards. Now Sousa back there to Zajic, who has tracked back. Now Sousa finds Otto here down our left-hand side. What can he do? Squeeze that one, and Finn Brown will put it away, and there's a goal. And to be fair, based on what we've seen so far in terms of a couple of quick fire highlights, some corners, and also the stats there in between them, we've been well and truly on the front foot, and thankfully get some pay for that there. Sousa finds Jonas Otto, of course, player of the tournament from our Club World Cup win last year. He's been such an excellent addition. Just a shame we didn't get him sooner so we could go to that FIFA World Cup with the All Whites. We'll just praise there instead of encourage. And off the back of that, there is a highlight. So lots of action early in this game. A poor pass from the restart, too, from Western Suburbs. Sousa finds Otto, who makes his way inside the box, and Baker will bring him down. So a chance for us here to make it 2-0 in pretty quick succession. And if we score this, I might even take Corona off early just to make sure we don't bottle things. Finn Brown looking for a double, but Diaz there comes up with a really good save for Western Suburbs. Still only 1-0. Hopefully that won't be a tide turner in this final. Again, looking for Zajic there at the near post. Can't quite find him. Try and fizz that ball into the middle of the box, but unfortunately Western Suburbs do clear their lines, albeit this highlight is going to continue. Hopefully FM's not messing with us here. Just going to wait for us to go all the way to the back and then cut things off. But that's now happened a couple of times. Maybe now that we're finding Cifuentes, the highlight will end. But no, we still have the ball here. So Zajic, he finds Sousa back up to Otto, who so far is creating all our chances. Clark there gets brought down, but apparently no penalty. Then they give the ball away to Antunes. Now Rivas makes his way down the right-hand side. A tackle from Wynn, which looked pretty clean, but it's a second penalty. Will Finn Brown step up to take this one? I'm not too sure. It looks like someone else indeed. Jonas Otto, who sends Diaz the wrong way. To be fair, he should have just gone the same way as he went for that penalty only a few minutes ago. But there's a quick fire double, albeit potentially should be 3 goals for us now, but thankfully Jonas Otto makes up for that save from the attempt from Finn Brown. That makes it 2-0, and considering how good we're looking early, we'll take off Corona on that yellow card for Cerner. If you're wondering, Marcus Vinicius not actually registered for the Champions League, and Cerner, to be fair, better player than him anyway, so Cerner can come on for Corona off the back of an early 2-0 lead. And just making our way towards the last 10 minutes here of this first half, a free kick for us there right on the edge of the box, and Finn Brown, he finds Hosafa at the far post. That here there did take a big deflection to beat Diaz. We'll see it here, but it's another goal. Diaz there absolutely sewn up. Not much he can do to stop that one from making its way into the back of the net, but it looks like he's going to be a bit of a party in our last game at Cashmere Tech, because the first half has been complete domination. Western Suburbs are up to next to nothing. We probably should be 4-0 in front, but to be fair, the highlight where Finn Brown missed the penalty, we got one later on that one anyway, and Jonas Otto did put it away off the back of only a few minutes earlier. Finn Brown actually scoring from open play, but that is a very good first half. Everyone doing well out there, no changes needed, as we're 3-0 up at half-time in the Champions League final. And we actually get a highlight straight from the restart here to kick off the second half, and we find Antunias early down that right-hand side. If we grab a nice lead in this one, might be able to bring on some actual club legends off of the bench, the likes of Debenham, Wiley, Khalid, some players who have featured for a large majority of the save, but these days aren't quite in our starting 11. But thankfully, Western Suburbs clearly aligns, but don't do it too well. Now Otto, he's on the ball, will float that one far post looking for Antunias, can't quite find him, but now Rivas gets us back on the attack, looking for Antunias. He gets taken out, but Goncalves is there to poke that one home, the young Australian who's coming in off the back of that sale of Johnston, as well as that injury to Alex Moore. It was pretty quiet in the first half, but the early stages of the second half, just 40 seconds in, we'll get a simple tap in. 4-0 in the Champions League final. Looks like we're going to be breaking the record. And we continue to be on the front foot here in this Champions League final. Just a few minutes off there, that fourth goal got thrown inside the final third, and Otto finds Antunias at the far post. He heads that one home. He gets on the score sheet in this final. To be fair, he's been superb since he came in off the back of that Club World Cup last year. Has been a really good addition. Here's the Portuguese lad, and he heads that one home just like Walid Khalid's done oh so many times. And that makes it 5-0 Western Suburbs in an absolute world of trouble. And it might not be ending yet, because a highlight straight from the restart. Let's see if they can do something here for the first time really in this game. They try and play that one forward, but thankfully Hosafa, he cuts that one out. But thankfully, this is a pretty relaxing watch for us here in our final game at Cashmere Tech. No chance we're going to blow a 5-0 lead with this team, and might even make it 6-0, as Rivas here is on the attack. Good tackle to break things up, but does keep the ball back to Cerner. He finds Otto at the far post, who puts that one into the mixer, but it comes off the post, and also he was offside. 5-0, 10 minutes into the second half. And in fact, right off the back of me trying to wrap things up there, another highlight starts here, this time with a throw-in just inside of our own half. Zajic tries to find the Otto, I think that was, but a good foot in there from Western Suburbs, and they get on the attack here. Somewhat Berio plays that one in for Gibb. Nice ball forward there to Baker, who beats Cifuentes, who for some reason there did go the wrong way. Maybe that took a deflection like that late goal did in the first half for us from a free kick. But Berio into Gibb, and it's a super well-timed run that from Baker. No one picks him up on that yellow card. For some reason, Cifuentes did go the wrong way, but doesn't save that one. But Western Suburbs grab a goal back, albeit even with a half hour left, you'd imagine just a consolation goal. As I said, that run is perfectly timed. They make it 5-1 with a half hour left. And going forward about 10 minutes off the back of that goal back to Western Suburbs. Now I've got here Cerner dropping down to a red heart. Was a little bit tired coming to this game, coming back from an injury. So we'll take him off here, albeit it will be for a centre-back, because Hosafa can go forward and play in defensive midfield. Jason Clark, let's put him back there at centre-back. I think we'll keep Zajic as the central defender, seeing as he looks a bit better rated there than as a ball-playing defender. Only 20 minutes left, and we're still 5-1 in front. And we just snuck our way here into the last 10 minutes of our final game at Cashmere. Taking the highlight starts here. Good interception on Goncalves. Does get on the attack, looking for a double. That shot, though, is pretty average. But I think now we may as well make our last couple of subs and bring on some actual legends of the save here, who have done very well for us at Cashmere Tech. Harrison Debenham can come on for Rivas, our best youth intake player we did have during this part of the save. And also Walid Khalid, he can come on for Finn Brown. He's not quite a legend. The only legendary player here actually is Nathan Walker, quite surprisingly, but he's definitely an icon. Khalid can come on for Finn Brown. Let's see if he can grab a goal in our last game in charge here at Cashmere Tech, which definitely looks like it's going to be a very successful one. 5-1 up late on in this Champions League final. It's been complete domination. The new Western Suburbs manager does look like he's a bit rubbish, to be fair, to get his team to a Champions League final, but nothing doing off the back of those subs that we did make to bring on some very good players for us during the save-on the later stages of that game. But that breaks the record for the most OFC Champions League titles of all time here with a club. Auckland City previously hit it with 12. We equaled it last season. Now we break it here before we go and try and win a World Cup with the All Whites. Fingers crossed we actually find a way to do that with those tactics that we did experiment with yesterday. Did look like it might help us out, but there's the trophy lift. That makes it 13 straight Champions League titles here at Cashmere Tech. A very fitting way to end the save. And that is our time done now at Cashmere Tech. And we do it in style off the back of a 5-1 win in the 2042 final over Western Suburbs. So it was a very comfortable watch for us there with that Champions League final to end the save, but a 5-1 win over Western Suburbs. To be fair, they were up to very little in that game. The only shot on target they scored, which is a bit frustrating, but we absolutely blew them away there, even with a missed penalty. We beat them 5-1. Jonas Otto for 9.32 average rating during the course of that Champions League season. He's been superb for us, including, of course, in our Club World Cup win last year. But that makes it 13 straight Champions Leagues. We don't even need to check really on the competition history because it's pretty similar. But we checked out a couple of days ago with the National League Championship. We've won it the exact same years off the back of losing the first year to Auckland City in the final. But that's 13 straight, and that does mean we now hold it the most times off the back of picking up that win. 13 times 1. We'll just go and make sure that does show up over in the history. And indeed, we have won it the most times now. No longer us tied with Auckland City. So I think that's a pretty good way for us here to leave things at Cashmere Tech. Before we do so, let's just go through these inbox items one last time to show you what happens off the back of an OFC Champions League win. A little bit of money. The board love us. We'll see if that lasts off the back of what we're about to do, because that is our last act as the manager of Cashmere Tech. Jonas Otto, what a shame we can't pick him for the All Whites just yet, but he's been superb, as I said before. A fair bit of money gets paid out there to the players, and yet again, we lift the Champions League. Nick our Soccer Tech, the biggest overachievers, and the poor old youth teams continue to get picked on here in the review of the competition. They are the biggest underachievers in the team from Pago, top goal scorer this season, and apparently also the highest average rating, even though it said it was Otto before. That actually went to Louis Antunes, and Otto did get 7 assists. And we'll just go over, before we resign here at Cashmere Tech, and also announce our retirement off the back of the World Cup, and check out the club info and try and find stuff like the overall best 11 from the save. For some reason, already we've gone down to being a 3.5-star reputation club. Not too sure how that's happened, because we haven't lost a game off the back of that Club World Cup last year, but apparently our reputation, it's getting worse, which is a bit concerning. Might have to keep on winning the Club World Cup if you take over the save with Cashmere Technical. But there's the state of the club these days. We're a 5-star manager. Look at that record. It's absolutely ridiculous, especially here at Cashmere Technical. But let's have a look at the overall best 11 that we do have here at Cashmere Tech. I do think that there will be no players from that time we had before we came to the club. Indeed, that is the case. Josh Hawkins is in goal still off the back of his stint for us early on in the save. The back four: Harrison Debenham, Tim Anderson, Georgios Victoros. Of course, he was a really good player for us both here at Cashmere Tech and also at AFC Auckland. And Xavier Smith, the Australian left back, to complete that back four. All four of those guys having played over 100 games for the club. We'll just see. We can click on these players' profiles, but we can't really, because these days most of them have retired. Xavier Smith actually finished his career off in England at Wrexham and Wickham. Georgios Victoros, we'll see what happened to him. He went back up to Cyprus to play for Omanoia, but he was really good for us for most of the save. 76 appearances for AFC Auckland, backed up with 105 for Cashmere Technical. Tim Anderson still floating around these days at Sydney FC, and Harrison Debenham just came off the bench in that Champions League final. Josh Hawkins, he retired after a couple of years at South Melbourne. after Cashmere Tech picked him up early from Aratia. To be fair, can't actually remember if we signed him or if he was already here when we joined the club off the back of our stint at AFC Auckland. Going now to defensive midfield, Sam Clark, Tristan Turner, 2 players who are still at the club. Right wing, Walid Khaled, what an absolute legend he's been for us in the save. Apparently, only 128 appearances for Cashmere Tech, which actually looks a bit light considering all the Champions League games and whatnot he would have played in the nearly 10 years that he's been here. But he has been a superb player for us, and we won't see the last of him either. He's now the first choice right winger in our all-white squad going in to the World Cup. Central attacking midfielder, that's Lorenzo Janssen. We let him go a couple of seasons ago, and he retired straight off the back of that. So didn't play for any clubs off the back of the 2040 season, where he did leave us here at Cashmere Tech with Finn Brown and Jamie Young being here at the club and being a little bit better. Unfortunately, never committed to the All Whites, otherwise probably would have kept him around for a little bit longer. Matthew de Hotman de Villiers was our best left winger during the course of the save. That's a bit of an interesting decision, but there he is on the left-hand side. These days actually is a scout for the club. We brought him back in just going into the start of last season. And up front, our best striker was Juan Carlos Castro these days. He's over at South Melbourne, just like Josh Hawkins was. He's a decent player, might even sneak his way into the extended all-white squad for the upcoming World Cup. So these are our best 11 on the bench. We've got Cifuentes, arguably could be in there over Josh Hawkins. Oli McGoldrick, who these days is still playing at FC Bordeaux. Those guys, where on earth are they? They are over in France, an interesting destination there for McGoldrick. Might be another fringe player for the All Whites at that World Cup, at least in terms of an extended squad. Corey Brown, I don't remember using him too much, but he's actually no longer in the game. He might be one of the few players who's in the squad from before we made the move from AFC Auckland. Nathan Walker, despite being a legend, is on the bench. There was his career. It's been a long time here after we signed him off Fencibles and then went to Christchurch United for a couple of years before he retired. I'm pretty sure still the only legendary player we have here at Cashmere Tech. Louis Evans, he's no longer in the all-white squad, but was quite good for us when he was here at Cashmere Tech. These days over at Padova, those guys over in Italy, I believe indeed that is the case down in Serie C. And to wrap up our bench for the best 11 of this save, a couple of foreigners. Kevin Mina, he would have been really useful. He's these days over at the San Jose Earthquakes as an all-whites option. The Ecuadorian, he's still going and is wanted by Saudi Arabia. He might be about to move to Saudi, which actually could help the club out quite a bit in terms of percentage of next transfer fee and whatnot. And to round up our squad, Ezra Zoom is the Australian that we got on a free. He was sold to Wellington Phoenix, but then in 2042, he made the move to Nashville over in the MLS. Doesn't look like he's got too many more caps for the Socceroos since we signed him at Cashmere Tech, but no doubt now that he's in the MLS, that might change as well. So these are the best 11 from this save here at Cashmere Tech, according to the game. Not too sure about Corey Brown, but the rest of them are all players that we've definitely used here since we've been at Cashmere Technical. And in terms of our competition history, it's pretty ridiculous. We won the Club World Cup last year. Still not too sure how. 13 straight Champions Leagues off the back of that runner-up the first time around in 2029 to Auckland City. We've won 13 Chatham Cups, a very similar sort of record there to the Champions League. Since we've come here, we didn't win it in 2013, 14 or 21. That was before the safe start, just 1 year where the club were the runners-up. But to be fair, I think that was before we actually came here off the back of a season at AFC Auckland. 14-time National League Championship winners, 13 since we came here 2024. We were still up at AFC Auckland, one runner-up. That was to Auckland City the same season. We lost them in the Champions League, and a bunch of Southern League titles, a bunch of charity cups, and the rest of that stuff we don't play for anymore here at Cashmere Technical. Just a ridiculous record that we've built up here, and hopefully that will continue also, because we did manage them. A quick look at what's been happening at AFC Auckland. Let's just go down here and find them on our manager timeline. There they are. What are they up to these days? They are in a promotion playoff in the second tier of Australian football. Unfortunately, since we've left, they've been a little bit of a yo-yo club in terms of actually being in the A-League. A bit disappointing considering that we did win a couple of titles with those guys all the way back at the start of the save. That was back in 2025, 2026 and 2027 after being runners-up in our first year as a club. But I think that will do it for our time here at Cashmere Tech in the save. It's been pretty fun considering we were supposed to be AFC Auckland for the entirety of the save. The only real disappointment is that reputation never really went up as much as I thought it should, considering our record, especially off the back of that Club World Cup win. A little bit disappointing. It's going down already. Transfer values of players, that hasn't been helped out either, as we've found out by that Club World Cup win. Also, the youth intakes here, they weren't too good, especially compared to what we had at AFC Auckland. But still, winning a Club World Cup with a semi-professional club at that stage, it was pretty fun. So let's tell everyone now, we're going to retire off the back of the end of the World Cup. Let's just see what pops up. No, you can't change my mind, mate, because we're actually about to leave you right now. Unfortunately, we've got no intention of changing our mind. Our time here has come to an end. They'll have to find a new manager here at Cashmere Tech. To be fair, some quite good managers who are below us in the pecking order staff-wise here at Cashmere Tech, so they should be fine. We'll have a look shortly and see who actually replaces us once we resign from Cashmere Tech. But there you can see that we're going to be also leaving the All Whites off the back of that World Cup. And back here, it is time to resign from Cashmere Technical immediately, because we don't need to do anything in the National League between now and the World Cup, because it's pretty much a complete waste of time. There's the confirmation. We've quit the dual managerial role. These days, just focusing on the All Whites, maybe that might help us go a bit further in this upcoming World Cup. These days, Mitchell Campbell takes over at Cashmere Tech, and to be fair, he should do quite well with those attributes, and a 4-3-3 should be pretty okay with that Cashmere Technical squad that we did have there as well. Did look like there were a couple of other staff members did depart after we did. Unfortunately, the head of youth development, he's left because he was actually quite a good one, even though it didn't help us out too much in terms of our youth intakes. Also, we've lost a couple of goalkeeping coaches, our assistant, and unfortunately, Matthew de Hotman de Villiers, he's left with us, the loyal lad. He doesn't want to be there if we're not, after only a couple of years there of actually being a scout. But that'll do it for our time at Cashmere Technical. We'll come back next week and get stuck in to the FIFA World Cup with the All Whites, and a tough group as well. We've got Ghana, Norway and Switzerland in Group D. Let's hope we make our way out of that. Otherwise, that would be a bit of an embarrassing way to end the save. But if you enjoyed the Cashmere Tech part of this one, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you did enjoy this part of the series, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. And of course, as I said, we'll come back start of next week and get stuck into the World Cup over in Germany. Hopefully get back to doing some bus trips as well and pick up the one trophy we haven't won so far in the save, albeit going to be tough there with the All Whites. But until then, thank you very much for watching, keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.